is most of the food we see in magazines or on TV commercials, is it real or?
In the past, they used to use more artificial things. When you shoot chicken or turkey kind of things, like big roasted stuff, it may not be very real. First of all, it's not cooked thoroughly. I mean, not completely cooked, because when you cook it completely, it's gonna shrink. So we don't want it to shrink, so we want it to look bigger and puffed as it can. So we, for example, put paper napkins inside, or maybe foil, I don't know, to make it look as big as it can. And we cook it really raw, and then we brush it with soy sauce. I heard that some people might use some kind of grease, like for the car or something. I don't do that. I have never done that. I started my first jobs at corporate companies. I think it's not suitable for everyone. I couldn't fit in that environment, because you go every day, you wake up at the same time, you go to the same office, you sit in the same table and leave the office at the same time every day, and this was boring and making me anxious, because I said to myself, life shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be boring to make money or to work. There's always a fun way to work. I mean, it can still be a job, but you can enjoy it very much, and you can use your full potential, full creativity, and more importantly, you don't feel that you're working, even if you get very, very tired.
Welcome back, guys, to the Kotodama Podcast. I'm so excited. As always, I'm always excited for every guest I have on. But today, my guest is a fellow Turkish lady. Her name is Ebru Atlan, and she is a food stylist. She's a food photographer and a food editor. And I first want to welcome you. Thank you so much, Ebru, for joining me today.
Thank you very much for inviting. Thank you.
Yes, so the reason why I invited you, Ebru, is because, I mean, are you in Istanbul right now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love Istanbul, by the way. She's in Istanbul. I'm in Tokyo. And the reason I invited you is because I think food stylists, I mean, that is such an interesting job. I think most people don't know what that is. So first of all, can you explain me, what is food styling? What is food photography? I think people have maybe an image, but explain, what is food editing? How does your job work?
Okay, food styling is basically making the food look good enough and, appetizing on photographs and videos or advertisements on TV or whatever. So, I mean, in my job, I never use artificial stuff to make them look good, but in the past, especially food stylists used to use some artificial elements to make them look as they wanted. But for me, it's important to work with the real food and give the real recipe and make people understand how that would really taste. And also, of course, I try to make it look as delicious as it can be. And this is basically what I do. But I work with food brands, and they come to me and they tell me what they want. It can be for an Instagram video or for a magazine shoot or for an advertisement for the TV. So sometimes they ask me to develop recipes for them with their ingredient or the product, whatever it is. It can be olive oil, cheese, or flour, or whatever you can think of. I try to develop interesting recipes for them. And then we go in the studio where we cook it and present it with the right plates, and the colors and everything is important. And this is basically it. Food styling is actually, we can see it in two branches. In one branch, it's dealing with the food which is inside the plate. So I work with the food inside the plate. And the other thing is the prop styling part of it. It's also a very important part of food styling. In some countries, two different people do this in a shoot. For example, one person is only responsible for the food and the other person is responsible for the props. But in my case, I do them both. Uh,
What does that mean, the props? Can you
the,
explain?
the props, the props are everything except the food which you see in a food photograph or a food video, like the plate and the
Mm.
fork or the knife or the napkin you would use or the background you would use, or even a glass, or even if you would put a spice next to it, things like that.
Nice. So you do
So
all of that, right? And you also cook the food.
yeah, I also cook the food. Yeah, I style and I prop style the food, and I sometimes photograph the food myself. And most of the time, I prefer working with different photographers, food photographers, because doing all of them, takes a bit too much time and can be a
Yeah.
bit tiring. So when I work with another food photographer, we can move faster and, develop more content in a shorter period. Yeah, this is basically it.
Yeah, I see. Okay, because I think this is so interesting because I think most people don't know. I mean, by the way, my partner, my boyfriend is actually a photographer and he has photographed food before, but it's a complete different genre. It's completely different. And I think he's not a food stylist. He just took pictures of food before, but he doesn't do that mainly. So
Hmm.
I think it's such a niche in photography that's so
Yeah.
underrated and interesting because most people don't know how do you make food look delicious and how do you make food look good, because I have heard, so I wanted to ask you as well, like I have heard that a lot of food in like advertising and in magazines and pictures is not real food. So you just mentioned that you only work with real food, but
Yeah.
how is that around the world? Do you have an idea, like is most of the food we see in magazines or on photo on TV commercials, is it real or?
I mean, on magazines and Instagram and food advertisings, and they're mostly, I think, real. But I mean, in the past, they used to use more artificial things, as I mentioned before. Like, for example, if you're shooting ice cream, it's one of the most difficult things to shoot because it can melt easily if you want to stay on the set for a long time. The light, is warm and it makes it melt quite fast. So, in order to avoid its melting, they used to use artificial ice cream. They still do it actually, but there's also ways to work with real ice cream in that environment. So, for example, I prefer that one. But I know people still can choose to work with artificial ice cream when it comes to ice cream shooting. Other than
Mm.
that, well, when you shoot chicken or turkey kind of things, like big roasted stuff, if you can imagine, especially during Christmas or
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Yeah. Um, it's it may not be very real. First of all, it's not cooked thoroughly. I mean, not completely cooked, because when you cook it completely, it's gonna shrink. So we don't want it to shrink. So we want it to look bigger and puffed as it can. So we, for example, put um, paper napkins inside, or maybe foil, I don't know, to make it look as big as it can. And
Hmm.
we cook it really raw. I mean, just a very little bit of time. And then we brush
Mm.
it with soy sauce, and I mean, soy sauce, oil, and mix other stuff. But I heard that some people might use some kind of grease, like for the car or something. Yeah. I don't do that. I have never done that. They put some kind of coloring and then put it over the chicken or the turkey
Yeah.
to give that delicious, beautiful look.
Yeah, so
It's
you basically you do
baked, perfectly baked. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
you do basically everything so that the food looks delicious. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So whether it's actually eatable, edible, is not really important, right? If you can really eat it afterwards or not.
Me, it's important because part of my job is giving recipes to people, and it feels kind of responsibility because they get excited when they see your recipe and they want to try it and make the same thing. So,
Yeah.
well, for me, it's really important to make it as good as it can. I mean, and when people do it at home, it should give the same result to them. But this is mostly for the Instagram posts where, or the magazine posts where we give recipes. If it's an advertisement, so no one needs a recipe and the, food brand wants their product to look the best way it can. So a roasted chicken then becomes very important, to pop
Yes.
up. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's and I mean it's so interesting to me because we just talked before we started recording. We talked a little bit about that you have been to Japan and I live in Japan, and so in Japan, for example, something very famous I think when that people notice when they come here if they've never been here before, is that when you go into a restaurant, like you will have fake plastic food, it like
Yeah.
in a almost like a window in a window, I guess like window shopping. You can like look at the food.
Like it's like a real menu. Uh, yeah,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
can see
you
what
will see
you're going to
basically every menu item that you can order and eat, they actually made that out of plastic and it looks real, more or less real. And I was always wondering like, what is that? And I got a little bit into it and I realized later it's all like I think they make it out of plastic and everything. But is that I mean, that's like specific to Japan, I think, right? But I don't know, like is there anything like that in foods in your job where, for example, in Turkey, it might be different than in different countries? Like, do people do, I guess, food styling different in different countries?
I don't think so. I mean, that thing is probably special to Japan because I traveled quite a bit, but I have never seen such a thing anywhere else, and I like it actually. I mean, Japan is a country. I mean, people are very naive and with a very artistic nature. Everything is very nice. Everyone is very polite, and everything is done very beautifully, perfectly. Even when you go to a shop and you buy something, they make a package and it's like art, so you don't even want to open the package.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me seeing such a thing in Japan because
Yeah, so
they
it's
have
special to
very nice,
Japan.
yeah, very nice taste, very artistic spirit. Um,
Yeah, but you
yeah,
are also,
mm-hmm.
sorry, go on.
I think you asked if food styling is any different in any other
Yeah.
country. I don't think so because we're kind of globalized now, and we have internet, we have Instagram, everybody is there. I mean, when I check the recipes on Instagram, I come across someone from Australia or an Arab country or from Africa. Of course, they all use ingredients of their geography and food culture, but more or less everybody is trying to, I think, catch the same look
Yeah,
on
I
the
see.
screen.
Yeah, and how like how did you so you also do recipes, right? Like what does that mean? Recipe development? You just come up with recipes? Do you have like a cookbook or what do you work for another person's cookbook basically, or how do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I worked for different cookbooks, and I also worked for a food magazine, Italian food magazine, for about 9 or 10 years. So basically, a brand comes to you. It can, I mean, related to gastronomy, let me say, a brand related to food and gastronomy. It can even be a refrigerator brand. So, for example, when it's a refrigerator, you are more free. You can come up with any recipe you want, but here the idea should be to use ingredients which is important to store them in the refrigerator, like salmon fish, for example, or meat. Yeah.
Yes.
But when it's an olive oil brand which comes to you, you of course develop recipes considering where olive oil would go best, would fit best, mostly maybe vegetables. Of course, you can use it for cooking, but olive oil is best with salads or cheese balls where you dip your bread in. So,
Ah,
yeah, I try to create, environments considering the brand's character and specialties and things like that. Yeah, if it's flour, I mostly develop bread recipes, different bread recipes. Maybe I can add a sandwich recipe in it with the bread I bake. But it's important here. Why do we give recipes? We give the recipes because people want to do it. I mean, when they see it, they want to have it. So we need to give them the instructions for how to prepare it, how they can have it. Yeah.
interesting. So it's like you have a product and you're kind of making recipes for the product, so you kind of have creative freedom depending on the job, I assume, right? Sometimes maybe you have more strict where you have to create a recipe a bit more strictly, and sometimes you have more creative freedom, as you said, with the refrigerator,
Yeah.
for example. But
Yeah.
is it, yeah, go on.
Mhm.
Sorry.
It's also um, what do you say? It's also important to consider the social segments where that brand is located. Uh, some brands target, higher profile, economically higher profile people who have the ability to buy expensive products, like more expensive products, like truffle or truffle mushroom, truffle oil. Not everyone can afford to buy it and use it in the kitchen. But there are also occasions where, we cook for more economic budgets. Yeah. With not very expensive ingredients, like easy and cheap ingredients. But if it's important for the brand, we try to make it still healthy. For some brands, it's not even important to make it healthy. It's just
Yeah.
important for them, yeah, to use the product and make a recipe with that product.
Ah, I see. So it's like it really depends on the. I never even thought about this. So you're thinking about all of these different things. The economic, like, I guess, yeah, I guess
Okay.
it makes sense. If you see truffle, it's not for the average, normal,
Or
person who cooks at home. Um, but that's super interesting. And like, how did you even get to this job? I mean, I reached out to you because I was like, what is this and how does it work? And I had so many questions. Like, most people know about photography, they don't know about food styling. I think a lot of people don't even know that this is a job. And so,
yeah,
how did you end up in this position?
yeah, I still, when I go somewhere, they ask me what's my job. I say food styling, and they stop for a while. Food styling, what is that exactly? So I always have to explain. Well, how did I come to this point? I actually studied political science and international relations at the university. Yeah, and I don't have a master's degree. Yeah, but um, yeah, started my first jobs at corporate companies. I think it's not suitable for everyone. I mean, I couldn't fit in that environment because you go every day, you wake up at the same time, you go to the same office, you sit in the same table and leave the office at the same time every day. And this was kind of so, boring and making me anxious because I said to myself, life shouldn't be like this. And
Wow.
I had always been interested in food, by the way. My mom used to be a very, very good cook. Her food was very famous in my hometown. Um, so I always had time to go in the kitchen with her and experiment, things, recipes and stuff. So, cooking was kind of a rehabilitation for me. It was very relaxing, and it was my hobby at first, and then I started writing a food blog in 2008, I guess. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was working in a corporate company and I was also writing a food blog. So those times, there wasn't too many people writing food blogs. So we were like 10 or 12 people who knew each other. So there used to be events where they invited us for cooking events. Um, and there was a competition one day. Yeah. And accidentally, I was invited to the competition, and I won the competition. So, and I mean, it was among the food bloggers, most
Wow.
known food bloggers. I wasn't a very well-known food blogger at that time, but somehow I ended up joining the competition, and then I ended up winning the competition. So
That's
then
wonderful.
yeah, then everything changed. It was a changing point, turning point for me. So I didn't know that that competition had international, there were, I mean, the competition I was in was a national one, and there was also a regional one, and the international one, the regional one was in Dubai, and the international one was in Thailand.
Wow.
So I went there to represent Turkey. So I met some people from the industry, from the magazines or chefs, and um, our paths crossed somehow, coincidentally. So when I came back from Thailand to Turkey, so I was sure that I wanted to do this as my job anymore. So I wanted to change some things in my life, and I didn't want corporate life, but I wanted something else where I can, express myself more and use my potential and creativity in a better way. And
Wow.
so, yeah, I started working with a chef first, and then I became the editor of the food magazine I told you about, and I started
Yeah.
all the food styling and more professional photography uh, phase in my life. So,
Wow.
yes, yeah. Yeah.
No, honestly, I love this, Ebru, so much because honestly, what you just mentioned, your whole journey and how you became the food stylist is so relatable because a lot of people, they study something at university and they
Yeah.
think, and the parents, in our Turkish culture as well, the parents have the
Yeah.
expectation, like now you went to university, now you have to work in this corporate world. And
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of courage to be in that position and still decide, this doesn't feel right for me. And my intuition and my, I guess, like in Turkish we say like kismet, or even in English they say kismet, like your
Yeah.
life and your destiny. It's kind of like calling you to a different direction. And I think a lot of people feel that in the corporate world, that they have no creativity and everything is kind of like boring, or it's kind of like the same thing every day. And most people, they don't have the courage to get out of that. So I think that's super, super courageous and wonderful. And would you say that your life, like once you started going into this food blogging and then the food styling and then the magazine editor, once you followed your intuition and your
Yeah,
passion, do you think your
yeah,
life went in a better way and it went more easy for you?
yeah, exactly. I exactly followed my passions because creativity and arts, have always been very, very important in my life. I mean, from my childhood, I've always been dealing with, arts in some ways, music or art. And, I always believe that it shouldn't be boring to make money or to work. You know, there's always a fun way to, you know, work. I mean, it can still be a job, but you can enjoy it very much, and you can use your full potential, full creativity, and more importantly, you don't feel that you're working, even if you get very, very tired. So I always had this idea or utopia, whatever you would say. I always believed it's possible. So and I followed my passion and intuitions, and yeah, it led me here. Yeah, I mean, so I'm very, very happy that I did this for myself. I mean, my journey ended up here because I really enjoy doing my work. This doesn't mean it's easy, it's difficult. Uh, Most of the times I stand minimum 8 hours if I have a shoot. No,
Mm.
I have to stand for 8 hours because I'm always doing something. It's really, really tiring at the end of the day. You have, your feet hurting. But the best part is you don't feel it, you know, while you do the work because the people I work with are all my friends. We are having so much nice time. We work, we produce, we create,
Yeah.
but we have fun. I think this is the most important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important, like who you work with as well. But what I wanted to say as well is you mentioned creativity in your life. Sorry, guys, my
Mhm.
nose is a bit. I'm coming off a cold.
No
But
worries.
you mentioned creativity, and I
Yeah.
really have been thinking about this a lot lately because this is my form of creativity, is this podcast. And so I think it's so important for everybody who's watching this to just understand or to hear it maybe over and over again that there's so many different ways in which you can be creative. Like we don't, when we grow up as children, you don't even know
Hmm.
this job exists of a food stylist. But there is
Yeah.
someone out there who would be like you, who it would be their exact perfect job for them. Or, there's so many ways of being creative. And, you know,
Exactly.
yeah, so I think this is really inspiring actually. And I wanted to ask you again, when you made the decision to leave your job, this is like interesting to me. Um, how did you how did you feel when you make the decision to leave? Did you feel like a pressure of your family? Did you feel pressure of your like, I mean, did it
Hmm.
take you a while or how did you get to the point really to make that decision?
Yeah. Uh, there was a transition period actually. I didn't quit at one time. I actually started doing something related to food. I was doing two jobs at one time. I wanted to be sure that I was going to be able to make a place for myself
Yeah.
at the other side. So it was a difficult period because I worked like so many hours a day because I was doing two jobs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I understood that it was going to work, I quit it, the other one. My family, I can't say they always supported me because uh, I was always different according to them. They liked me when I went to the political science and international relations department, but they wanted me to do something related to it actually, and that would make them happier. And for some time, they didn't tell me, but I could sense that they were asking or talking between each other, what is this girl doing? So, but when they saw that, I started working for one of the best magazines in Turkey. It was beyond my imagination. I was
Wow.
targeting smaller things, but then the best one came to me. So when they saw that this was going somewhere good and professional, they started supporting, and then they started telling about me to other people that, yeah, they
I know
started,
exactly the Turkish family
yeah,
mindset, like, you know.
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, but it's you know, it's like sometimes it takes like some sort of proof in society for the parents'
Yeah.
generation to understand, okay, this really makes money. Okay, can she live off of this? Is this, I think they over worry. I mean, especially Turkish parents, they always are like, is she gonna be okay? Is she
Yeah.
gonna, make money? Is this respectable job? Is this not something weird, But it's kind of sad because sometimes we just want to be supported for who we are. And I think it's such a
Yeah.
sign, that when you followed your path, that this big magazine or this big client came, and I think that's such a beautiful story. And I wanted to ask you as well, like, I mean, how long have you been doing this food styling?
13 years professionally, and
13?
13, 1, 3,
13. I was
13
like,
years professionally, and starting from the magazine. But before that, I was doing my blog for 4 years, 3, 4 years. So in total, about 15 years, something like that. I'm
yeah.
into this business,
Wow.
which I feel like business. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. And what's like one unexpected lesson that you have learned on this whole journey? Like something that was unexpected.
Unexpected.
Yeah, like a lesson that you learned maybe about yourself or about the industry or about, anything really. I mean, it's been 13 years, so I'm sure there's a lot.
Well, I spent 2 years in the UK. I lived in the UK for 2 years, and I was trying to do my job. I had most of my disappointments about my job there because it was so difficult to get in their network. I don't know why. I tried so hard to, contact with people, but they never answer you, or they give you an appointment and cancel it. This happened to me so many times, so it was very, very hard and disappointing. Then I started photographing for restaurants in London, Turkish restaurants. I was photographing for their, Instagram accounts, social media accounts. But I wasn't, I could only do real food styling for only a few companies in England. This was, I mean, I really wanted to use my potential, and, being coming from Turkey, I know the international cuisine or Turkish and Turkish cuisine. I can combine all of them together. I have a quite, wide,
Yeah.
a range of recipes and things, and I was very excited to use them in the UK, but I ended up working with most of the restaurants. Also
Yeah.
with outside London, in Sheffield, there was a very nice Asian restaurant. I worked quite a lot with them. That was the best part, I think, in the UK. So yeah,
So you've been in London for 2 years. I've been also in London for 3.5 years. And
yeah.
it was also not for me. But maybe that was a good thing in the end, for you as well, that you went back to Istanbul, right? It's also where you're from. You're also from
No,
Istanbul, right?
I'm
No?
from Mersin. Mersin is at the Mediterranean coast, and
Ah,
I
okay.
left there when I was 18 for the university. I came to Istanbul. I'm not going to tell you how many years I've been here, because then you understand how old I am.
No, I mean, you are so lively. You look super young. But so that's everything you're saying is so inspiring, actually, I think. And like, I think, like, obviously a lot of people know about Turkish cuisine and Turkish food. I mean, even well, in Japan it's only like kebab, but people who know Mediterranean food, they know about Turkish cuisine, and I think Turkish food is can be really difficult. I mean, depends on the food to cook and everything. But what is like your favorite? I mean, you told me before we started recording that you love Japanese cuisine as well, and
Yeah.
you love Turkish cuisine as well. But what's like your favorite food to photograph and your least favorite food to photograph and to style and in your work?
Hmm. Um, my favorite food to photograph could be sandwiches. It's very fun to, yeah, it's nice and colorful. And do I have a least favorite? I don't know. I've never thought
Maybe
like
something that's like, something that's maybe very hard to photograph. That you told about ice cream earlier because it's
ice cream.
melting,
Yeah,
right?
could be. Yeah,
Is that the one?
but
Yeah, because
it requires a completely different setup. I mean, if it is just a ice cream shoot, if you're shooting ice cream the whole day, that's fine. You get prepared according to that. But if you're shooting other things and they want you to shoot ice cream in between, that's the horrible horrible experience because
really,
it really
and
requires getting ready for it. Yeah.
when we talk back about this like artistic stuff, I mean, are you working now as a creative? Are you working for yourself now? Are you a freelancer basically? Do you have your own business?
I have my own company. I work freelance with different photographers in studios.
What would you say there is the most important? Because you talked about how in London, for example, you had a difficulty with the networking. You couldn't really
Yeah.
get in there. Do you
Yeah.
think networking is a very important aspect of being a freelance and being a business owner? What do you think is the most important part?
If you're starting, uh, if you're at the beginning of your career in this business, then of course networking would be very, very important. I mean, for me, it developed naturally, actually. Didn't have to do much for this because, I started a magazine and, I got to know so many people, so many brands somehow. And then I met photographer friends during my work for the magazine. So we started working together at those times. And then the business, developed itself and we didn't have to do much for it. But if, like, when I went to the UK, I had to work very, very hard for the networking. That became the most difficult and challenging part of my story at that time. It's a
Yeah.
different working culture. It's a different business culture there.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know what you mean. I mean, I've never worked in Turkey, but I've worked in the UK, and it's been absolutely, I think every specific country has its own working culture. But as a business owner as well and a freelancer and a business owner in Turkey as a woman, like how do you feel in in that field specifically? I mean, do you feel like sometimes it's more difficult as a woman, or do you think it's okay in the industry that you're in?
It's not difficult being a woman. I mean, mostly women would love to work as a food stylist
Huh,
because
okay.
and there are also men food stylists as well. If you're educated for becoming a chef, it's much more difficult to work in the professional kitchen because the things you have to do if you're a beginner and you have to do really, really difficult things like washing the dishes all day or cooking the same rice from morning till evenings and carrying very, very heavy pots and kitchen equipments like that. Food styling looks more easy for chefs nowadays, and you can see so many chefs starting to do this business as well.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
don't have to be a trained chef, but of course your skills in the kitchen need to be quite professional.
You know, I would have never thought that. I don't know why. Like, I always thought it's a complete separate thing. Like, I thought someone cooks the food and then you just style it. Like, I never thought that it is the same,
Mm,
that people have to be able to cook. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a completely different thing. So that's like, you need
no,
a
and
lot of
food
skill.
stylist has to cook. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
has to cook, and a food stylist really needs to be quite professional because you can meet any kind of problem during a shoot, and you need to be able to, bring a solution to the problem you're facing at that minute. You are the one who needs to solve the problem, so you need to know how long you need to cook, chicken, or how long you need to bake a cake or börek, or rice or whatever. So there's no excuse, it needs to be perfect, so at the end.
Yes. Wow. This is so interesting. I have so many questions. And do you think, I mean, you started the food blog like a long time ago, and I love that because I think blogging is kind of going out of style. I think not many, is it, or is that just me? I don't know. What do you think about it? Because I think social media, I was going to ask you how social media changed your job. And, like compared to only in the blogging days, maybe earlier on, how the industry changed and how your work changed through it all.
There's so much interest to this business. I think it's mostly because it looks very fun to people, and you can be on social media, and it gives you kind of popularity, but it's not easy. I mean, it's difficult. They think it's easy. They think that when they start doing this, they'll be in glamorous environments, and you know things work great for them. They would become popular, but it's not like that. I told you, I stand minimum 8 hours. Yeah, I enjoy. I have fun, but it's hard and it's tiring. Social media, how it changed my job. I actually already had to stop writing the blog when I started the magazine because I was working quite hard and I had to create content for the magazine. So I didn't have much time to go back and write for my blog. A change could be from photography to video. Uh,
Ah,
until very recently, we used to take only photographs for the social media and packaging and all the environment. But then uh, recipe videos became very popular. I think it's very recently, not
yes.
older than a year. Then we started shooting almost only videos now, yeah, because all the customers they started wanting, recipe videos mostly.
Yeah. I mean, I see that stuff. I don't even like, I'm not looking into like food, and I still see that stuff of like, how people cut it together themselves, like short
Yeah,
clips for like how they make something. And it's like,
yeah.
it's really all over social media. It's actually crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like, what do you want people when because I looked up your work before I for this interview. So I looked at like your pictures, and it's super, super beautiful, the work you do, and it looks delicious and highly professional, and very much obviously how you would see. Guys, I will put Ebru's work and all her social media and everything in the video description so you guys can see as well how that looks. How what a food stylist, basically what kind of work they produce. I think it looks amazing, and like I was thinking to ask you, like, what do you want people to feel when they look at your work and your pictures and your videos?
I want them want to eat the food.
Yeah.
Them
I
to
was thinking.
this how delicious, and I have to cook it, and have to taste it, and the value I can add to people's life with recipe development and food styling is, I think, giving them some kind of, nice moments with their loved ones or partners, or only by themselves, just by eating a good food. Yeah.
Yeah.
delicious food. So yeah.
Is that also what food means to you? Is it like family? Is it like a connection time? How is that with your own family?
Yeah, tables are very important in my family, of course. Whenever we meet, we are so many people around the table and with very nice food which we share. I think food is sharing, basically. I mean, it's of course nice when you're alone and you want to have a nice thing to eat and delicious thing, but I think it's mostly nice when you have friends and family to share the food and extend the experience in this way. Yeah. But of
Yes.
course, it's also nice to have a nice, delicious experience for yourself as well when you're alone or in a rush or a working day. But I enjoy sharing food, having long talks and drinks and a long night with friends and family. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's such a Turkish answer too, because in our culture, it's very much about sharing. Even if you don't have much to share, you kind of share food together. And
Mhm.
also, I think now I don't eat much alone, actually. Well, sometimes if I want to on my lunch break, but I feel like eating alone for me, I don't know what
Mhm.
it is. I feel like eating alone for me is one of the saddest things ever. I don't know if anybody feels that way, but I get really sad when I eat alone. And for a while in my life, when I was, during COVID and I was alone a lot, much more, it was one of the saddest moments of the day was when I had to eat alone. So I think you're right, like food can connect people, and it's like the sharing experience. And I don't know if that's my Turkish side or something, but, and I mean, I can cook a bit, but I'm not like a great super cook. So I don't, obviously I'm a different level than you. But even if you cook not that great, it can still be a great moment to share with someone, something that you made. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I think that's a very Turkish, it's a beautiful answer. I love that.
I mean,
um,
also, it's nice to, go in the kitchen with your partner or a friend and cook together. It's also a very nice experience. Yeah.
yeah, it's creation. You're creating something together. It's creative energy. I think everyone has a different expression, right? I think some people love to cook, but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
agree. Cooking together can be really fun, and
Mm-hmm.
baking as well. Baking, I'm not as good as. I guess I would be better at cooking than baking, but baking as well, I think is fun when you do it together. And yeah, that's true. What would you tell people who want to become a food stylist or a food photographer? Do you have anything you would tell them? What would you, as someone who's experienced there, any tips?
First of all, yeah. Any tips? First of all, of course, they need to have a passion about food. I mean, otherwise that would be very difficult and you can't enjoy it. So it's important to love the food culture. It's important to be able to cook. They can go to culinary schools and train to be a chef, but they don't have to do it. I mean, they can train themselves as well. Like I did, I went to so many workshops, mostly in Turkey, but also in different parts of the world. That's how I trained myself. And there are food styling classes, courses, schools online, or at some culinary schools again, they can get those educations as well. And they need to practice cooking those recipes and photographing them. So I think Pinterest and Instagram are the best sources to develop the seeing the food. I mean, how the food should look,
Yeah.
because you need to,
Aesthetic?
yeah, the aesthetic language. Yeah, exactly. You need to develop an aesthetic language for yourself, because you, even though you cook the most, delicious food, if it doesn't look good or tasty in the photograph, it means nothing. You need to make people feel that it is indeed delicious and beautiful. So, this takes time. You can't do it from today to tomorrow, but you need to develop yourself. Like I said, Instagram and Pinterest are very good sources for developing the language. I mean, we have a language actually in the photograph. Food photographs have their own language. The colors, the light, where the light comes from which angle you're taking the photo, because there are certain angles where it looks more beautiful. Yeah. They have to search a lot and study a lot. It's actually easy anymore. I mean, in my time, there weren't so many sources. I had to figure out everything myself. Now, if you ask AI, it can give you all the clues, and you can find the list of all the courses where you can go, what you can do.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think what you said there is so important as well with the marketing about it all. Like, it's the same in my, like with this podcast, for example, I can have the best conversation and the deepest insights, but if nobody wants to click on the video, and I'm still new as well in this YouTube thing as well, but it's you have to kind of figure out how to make it look interesting, just so people give it a chance even. So it's kind of, as you said, like if it's super delicious, but if nobody wants to, it doesn't look delicious, then what's the point, right? It's like you have to make it look good.
Yeah,
I mean, the colors
exactly.
and everything, that's super, I mean, special. And there's a lot of, I think, skills that go into that. As you said, the marketing, you have to have an eye for the aesthetic. People have to also, I think everyone probably has their own style, right? Like I can imagine every food stylist has their own taste and something that they want to think looks good. And then you have to also make the client happy, but then you have to also make yourself happy. I think there's a lot that goes into this, right? And the photography skills and cooking. I mean, oh my God. You seem very busy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I think at one point you start thinking about clients' needs first. I mean, being professional at this business means that sometimes you need to not to think about yourself and your own taste, just understand very, very good what the client wants, because it really changes so much according to the marketing needs of the client. And as I told you before, they can target different social segments. So marketing is very important at this point. So, I might have to work with a brand which, I don't resonate. I mean, I have nothing in common, but as a professional food stylist, I have to give them what they need, and it needs to be perfect. So, of course, it's nice to do things for your own taste, but it doesn't always work like that. You can do, private personal projects for yourself and develop recipes and style it just as you wish.
Yeah.
You use for example, I like dark mood in photography, but many of the clients don't like that. If you can convince only a few of them with the dark atmosphere.
Interesting. That reminds me of like more like restaurant style, romantic, darker, right?
Yeah.
But did you, I mean, I don't know if I'm remembering wrong, but because you used to have the blog and I'm thinking writing. So are you doing anything like your own kind of cookbook or your own kind of project lately where you can write more, or is there
Yeah,
anything in the works?
that's my project for so many years. My recipes are ready, and I even started shooting the photos like
Yay.
5 years ago, but I only shot 2 or 3 photos. So
Is it your own
I,
cookbook?
yeah.
And you don't have the time, or what's going on there? You should continue.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. I was.
Yeah.
That's something I really want to do. So I mean, I was quite busy actually, and I have a son and I have a home. So
Yeah.
when I come from the studio, I want to leave everything in the studio and get back to my home life. But if I need to shoot my own book, I probably will have to work a lot at home. So I need to get prepared for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be a great, whenever you find the time, I think that would be a project, obviously, that's your own and where you can do whatever you want to do. I think that's really cool as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, Ebru. So before we end the interview, I have a rapid fire round where I will ask you a few questions and I just want you to really quickly answer, like a one or two, three words. Just really easy, quick questions, okay? First question, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Turkish coffee? No?
Okay. I love flat white, but Turkish coffee
Okay,
is
no,
best.
it's fine. No, flat white. Okay, we got it. What's your favorite comfort food?
Cheese and walnuts. Because I try to eat, I mean, I'm not eating carbs, so I would say a sandwich, but so cheese and
Okay,
walnuts or cashew nuts. Yeah, cashew nuts and cheese. Yeah, this is good.
nice.
And avocado.
What did you say?
And avocado.
Nice. Yeah, avocado is
Yeah,
nice too. What's
yeah.
your dream food destination?
Does it have to be somewhere I haven't been or
Whatever, even if you've been.
Japan, of course.
Yeah, you said before we started, you said sushi is important in your family, right? You like the sushi?
Yeah, and my son's favorite food as well. My
I
favorite
love
food.
sushi.
Not just sushi. I love many things. Okonomiyaki, shabu shabu. Yeah,
Yes,
I love it so much.
you're okay. You're deep into it because I always tell people like everybody just talks about sushi and ramen. I'm like, guys, have you tried shabu shabu? Have you tried okonomiyaki? Like, guys,
I made udon myself in Japan in a workshop. That was so fun. I love udon. I try to eat as little carbs as I can.
okay. What's the favorite photo you've ever taken and why?
I think of two photos, but one of them was about chocolate and eclair. You know, the eclair French dessert. That's my favorite photo because I sent it to a competition in the UK. And that was, that was one of the best liked photos. It didn't win anything, but it was in a list of best photos or something like that. So it has a special place for that reason.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much, Ebru. That was my session with you. I'm so happy that you came on. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was so fun. And yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I got to like ask you all of the things that I wanted to ask you. And yeah, and I hope guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode as well. And I hope somebody who's maybe interested in this industry or just wanted to listen in or just loves food, I don't know, anybody who listened and who saw something interesting here today, please make sure to check out Ebru as well. She's I put her stuff in the video description below, and make sure to like and subscribe and share this video with all of your loved ones and people you think would like this kind of content. I really appreciate the support, and see you guys next week. Goodbye.